IBRAHIM Traoré was born in 1988 in Bondoukoui, a small town in western Burkina Faso. He grew up in a modest family where life was simple but full of challenges. Like many children of the Sahel region, his childhood was shaped by discipline, hard work, and strong community values. He was a quiet boy, but teachers and friends noticed his leadership qualities early. After finishing school, he went on to study geology at the University of Ouagadougou. But while he was fascinated by science, he felt a deeper call. His country was facing insecurity and instability, and he wanted to do more than just study rocks and minerals. He wanted to serve, to protect, and to build a stronger nation. That's when he decided to join the military. In the army, Traoré quickly built a reputation for discipline and courage. He took part in dangerous missions across Burkina Faso, fighting extremist groups that were spreading fear and violence in villages. Conditions were harsh, but Traoré never backed down. He led from the front, sharing the same struggles as his men. His humility and bravery earned him respect. By his early 30s, he had already risen to the rank of captain. By 2022, Burkina Faso was in deep crisis. Violence from armed groups was increasing, thousands of people had been killed, and millions were displaced from their homes. The government at the time, led by Paul-Henri Damiba, had promised to restore security but failed to deliver. People were losing faith, and frustration inside the army was growing. On September 30th, 2022, Captain IBRAHIM Traoré and a group of young officers launched a coup. They removed Damiba from power, saying that new leadership was needed to save the country. When Traoré appeared on national television, calm and determined in his military uniform, he announced that the old system had failed. His words gave hope to the people. At just 34 years old, he became the youngest head of state in the world. Since becoming president, Traoré has promised to restore security, fight corruption, and give dignity back to the Burkinabe people. He speaks strongly about independence and sovereignty, often criticizing foreign influence in Africa. Instead, he calls for African nations to unite, to support each other, and to control their own destiny. His message of Pan-Africanism has made him popular not only in Burkina Faso, but across the continent. But the challenges remain great. Extremist violence continues in parts of the country. Millions of people are still waiting to return to their homes. The economy struggles under pressure, and international criticism weighs heavily on his government. Still, Traoré remains firm, insisting that his country will no longer be a puppet of foreign powers. For many people, he has become a symbol of courage, resistance, and the power of Africa's youth. At only 34, he carries the hopes of millions. His story is still being written, but already IBRAHIM Traoré has proven that even in the most difficult times, a single determined leader can inspire an entire nation. Burkina Faso is a land of proud traditions, but also of endless struggle. For decades, its people endured poverty, insecurity, and leaders who failed to protect them. Out of this hardship, a new figure rose, a young man few expected to see at the top. His name is IBRAHIM Traoré. Born in 1988, IBRAHIM's childhood was shaped by simplicity. He was not born into wealth or privilege. He walked dusty roads to school, helped his family with daily chores, and watched his community face the challenges of life in the Sahel. Yet even in those early years, he stood out. Friends remember him as calm, disciplined, and quietly determined. At first, his path seemed to lead towards science. He studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou, preparing for a career in research. But while books filled his mind, another thought filled his heart. What good is science if my people live in fear? That thought changed his destiny. He joined the military. The army gave him purpose. He trained with intensity, served in dangerous operations, and gained the respect of his fellow soldiers. When villages were attacked by extremists, Traoré was there. When soldiers had little food or equipment, he shared their hardship. He never stood above his men. He stood with them. That loyalty made him a leader long before he wore the title of captain. But Burkina Faso was collapsing. Attacks multiplied, families fled their homes, and the government seemed powerless. Even within the army, frustration grew. The people had placed their trust in leaders who only gave them disappointment. Then came September 30th, 2022. On that day, the nation's direction changed forever. Captain IBRAHIM Traoré and his comrades removed the ruling leadership in a coup. The world was shocked, but the people of Burkina Faso filled the streets with celebration. At only 34 years old, Traoré stepped forward as the youngest president in the world. What made him different was not just his age, it was his message. He declared that Burkina Faso would no longer bow to outsiders, that sovereignty was not negotiable, and that Africa's youth would no longer accept weakness. His words were sharp, his tone unshakable, and his vision clear. Across Africa, young people listened. From Mali to Senegal, from Ghana to South Africa, they saw in Traoré a mirror of their own frustrations and hopes. Here was a leader who spoke of unity, dignity, and freedom, not as empty slogans, but as principles worth fighting for. As president, he built alliances with Mali and Niger, creating a new bond between nations facing the same struggles. He spoke often of Pan-Africanism, reminding the world that Africa's destiny must be decided in Africa, not in foreign capitals. But the challenges before him are immense. Extremist groups still attack villages. The economy suffers under heavy pressure. International critics circle around his government, and yet, despite these storms, Traoré stands firm. His simple lifestyle and closeness to ordinary soldiers and citizens make him a symbol of integrity. Ibrahim Traoré's journey is still at its beginning. He is young, untested by time, and the road ahead is uncertain. But his rise has already made history. From a small-town boy to the youngest president on earth, he has become a voice of defiance and a beacon of hope for millions who believe Africa's future belongs to its youth. His story is not finished. It is still being written every day, in every village, and in every heart that dares to believe in freedom.